Many thanks for joining us here for this Facebook Live session. This is BBC Africa's Focus on Africa Facebook session with Sierra Leonean politician Kandeh Yumkella. Now, fancy this. He left a high-flying career at the United Nations to enter politics back home as an opposition presidential contender. His CV includes 2 terms as Director General of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization and UN Under Secretary General. Impressive. And then before all of those, he had also served as Minister for Trade and Industry back home in Sierra Leone. But then his dream of leading the main opposition party in elections next March met with stiff hostility. So now he set up his own independent movement and he's currently in London. Many thanks for joining us today, sir.
Thank you for having me in the studio.
Before we talk about your ambitions and why you want to be president of Sierra Leone, quickly, a bit of housekeeping. So in the last few days, Sierra Leone's Political Parties Registration Commission has objected to the registration of your party. What's going on? What are the objections?
No, they have received objections to the colors of the party. They've received objections to the logo of the party. And they've conveyed that information to the party officials yesterday, which was the day we were supposed to have our final certificate to be out there in the streets now.
So you don't have your certificate as we speak?
No.
You don't?
But, but they've invited the party in for discussions on Tuesday next week to go through those issues that they've raised. But
so the objections are on the basis that one, the motorcycle in your logo wasn't acceptable, and 2, your party's choice of color. They said both these instances they were likely to confuse voters.
That is what the objectors said. So they're being a neutral party trying to bring to us the concerns of certain people. But let me just address those. They claim that the colors might confuse voters because other parties have the same colors. But if you look at the 12 existing parties today, a number of them have colors that are similar to colors the other parties have. So I give you some examples. The SLPP and the RUFP, those 2 parties both have green in their symbol. 3 parties have blue, the PLP, the PDP, and the NPD. The RUFP and the NPD also have gold. It has not confused anybody. What we did, it was very deliberate. We had a rainbow. We were looking at
all those colors.
Of colors. Because why? We don't want a dominant color. Because we want to be inclusive. And if you go to South Africa, that's the trend in South Africa. They needed to do that to show that all shades are welcome.
Quickly, what about the motorcycle in your logo?
The motorcycle, they say that might represent one interest group. Well, you can argue the same, that the palm tree might represent palm tree farmers or those who tap palm wine. Yeah? So there are colors, there are symbols people have used that may belong to traders, to hawkers. We chose our symbol. It is very symbolic. This is someone riding a motorcycle taking to the people the scale of justice, because there's so much injustice in the country. On the one hand of that scale, you have a bulb, which represents enlightenment, education, probably energy, just things that will open up their horizon. On the other scale is a hoe. We want to send the values of hard work, entrepreneurship. When they say that might confuse people, I say, but wait a minute. Somebody riding a motorcycle does not resemble a palm tree. It does not resemble the red sun.
Okay,
very different.
So, Dr. Yumkella, is it your view that there's something more sinister going on than people rocking up to the commission to say we object?
I believe
on the basis of those colors.
I believe
and what would be the basis for that view?
I just pray that the commission, which I respect very much, will indeed do the job they were created for, and I'm confident.
What are you suggesting?
I know the officials there, that they will look at all of this. For example, some of the objections are anonymous. Yeah, typically when the objections, I've been there now 2 years, when the objections were called in, the objector and the other side to discuss the objections, and they usually arbitrate. But some of these objections, and they came in last minute. We've been checking.
Pardon me for butting, but when you say you pray that they'll do the job that they've been mandated, you suggest some unseen hand is throwing a spanner in your works, trying to prevent you from contesting for president. Is that what you're saying?
We have been engaging with the PPRC for long, and we were there on Friday. There were no objections. We were there on Monday checking. There were no objections. My information.
Who would want to scuttle
my information is they met there, in fact, to discuss, to hand over the certificate, how they should call us in.
And then
somebody pulls out of the bag that, oh, by the way, there were these objections. If you're going to have such a meeting, my experience with meetings, people receive their file folders a week before, 2 days before, to review notes before they go in. But even the commissioners, my information, went in there knowing that, hey, this is D-Day, they've met all requirements, we give them their certificate.
So who would want to scuttle your ambition, Dr. Yumkella?
Well, I know that my candidature makes a lot of people scared. Yeah.
Who?
Let us tell you that if you look at the voters now, there are about 650,000 new voters, young people who were 13, 14, 15, not affiliated with parties.
I want us to move this conversation on to the bigger picture of things, but just that question I want us to unearth. Who would want to scuttle your political ambition? Are you looking at the presidency, for example?
No. I will not make any aspersions. I will just say that I do know that my entrance in the race has caused quite a bit of turbulence, and that is part of what I intended to do, that we needed a new political narrative. We don't have to follow traditional paths. So even the way I campaign on policy. I've been doing public lectures that attract thousands of students, young people, Okada riders, traders, just coming there to say, wow, we've never had town hall meetings in this country.
In a moment, we should talk to the issues that matter to the young people, the Okada riders, motorbike taxi drivers, as you're talking about. First of all, why do you want to be president of Sierra Leone?
I believe I can transform my country. I have spent over 20 years in the development field. And when I was at the UN, it bothered me to see whenever they put up indicators of development, we're always at the bottom.
So what difference would it make?
Yet you look at the resources we have, human and natural capital, in terms of minerals and other wealth. You see 6.57 million people that they can change. So I want to bring new ideas to them, because I believe we can lift more people out of poverty. We can create space for bigger private sector investment. We can also help to establish the necessary infrastructure that will create competitiveness across the economy so we can create wealth.
Look,
that is not happening.
There are dozens of others in the governing party alone, more than 20, I understand, who also want to be president. So, what's unique about you? Why you? What have you got to offer? That's any different from anyone else?
I don't come with any baggage. Yeah, I don't come with any baggage. I come with fresh ideas. I have been in the development field over 20 years, helping other countries in terms of technology transfer, private sector development, industrialization, agribusiness development, and of course the last 10 years, pushing for energy access, particularly for African economies, knowing how that. So I come with a set of skills and an international network and goodwill that we're going to need to transform that country. We can't do it alone. We're a small country. So that set of assets that I bring is very unique to this game.
Okay, let's talk about transformation, shall we? What for you is the main problem in Sierra Leone? What is it you intend to do that will really transform the country, to turn things around from where it is? Because we know at the moment that, Sierra Leone is a place of grinding poverty and hardship for the majority.
I have 5 priorities. First, you have to tackle corruption and the leakage from government. I estimate that every year we lose $60 or more million, just pilferage, literal pilferage in the department.
We know the problem. What's the solution? Okay. What's your solution?
That's why my track record matters. You yourself have to have the determination that, yes, every year people declare their assets. In fact, the citizens are calling for that. Clean. And you make sure that you yourself drive that accountability through the system.
How will you do this?
I mean, that's one of the things we did in the UN, but also in...
How will you do this in Sierra Leone, Dr. Yumkella?
No, I bring that best practice. Accountability.
But what is what is the fine detail of that best practice?
You have to set an example yourself. First of all, you declare your own assets and you make it a system every year. Everybody declares. Yeah? Very open. Second, you make sure that when resources are given to the ministries, you drive results, not just allocations of funds. That you got to do. Because the Auditor General shows year in, year out that we're losing over 100 billion leones every year just in the ministry.
So you're saying you will set targets for your ministers?
You got to be results-based. Set
targets and if they don't meet those targets, what happens?
First of all, you check regularly. You walk the corridors.
If
you go to the ministries
what will you
to
do?
Facilitate. If they can't deliver results, they got to go.
You fire your minister if you don't deliver.
I would fire if we've tried to facilitate and support you to deliver the results and you cannot. I have also seen something that President Ouattara does that I like. He takes the cabinet meetings almost every quarter to a region. But they go there for a whole week to look at the results for different ministers in that region. If we had given you money for education to build schools, we come and visit. Let us see where, and they take your colleagues to go and see the education projects or the agriculture projects. But that also brings government to the people, brings the government to the people, if you see what I mean. In addition, private sector development, this cannot just be a slogan. This is something I have done around the country, the world, promoting private investments, creating the enabling environment for investment protection, but also stable macroeconomic conditions. So yes, investors have confidence that policies will be there over the long term, that policies will be fair. They are not created just to suit a handful of private sector entities.
In the conversation about corruption, I want us to look at Sierra Leone's resources. You just alluded to it. So the